bitter criticism. I don't know what day is today. What is the day today? Thursday. Today's Thursday, regular English day. Let's see what's happening to with the genocide. I don't have Al Jazeera anymore. Just wait a minute. I erase everything and I erase everything and Al Jazeera to Al Jazeera. Just 1 second. Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera. Just 1 second. Well, I'm going to read this site this time, but then I'm going to install the app. But well, and it says goodbye Viking Jupiter. You're Nazi stupid. Live updates. Live Hamas says Israel's quote-unquote blatant outrageous violations threaten deal. Palestinians in Gaza fear rain as war damage building collapse. Fear rain. Oh, a simple rain is going to collapse the buildings in Gaza. I mean, terrible.
Atención. Para abrir la puerta del tren, presione el botón cuando se ilumine.
Today's coverage by Kaolan Magi and Joseph Stepansky. December 16. Hamas official says Israel's quote-unquote blatant and outrageous violations threaten the ceasefire agreement. Israeli forces have shot and wounded a young man in the town of Ram in the occupied West Bank.
Estación Bellavista.
Yeah, violence in Gaza 13 minutes ago, but it's just one guy. It's just one guy. 13 minutes ago. If you're just joining us, here's a recap of the latest developments. And quote, first, an infant has died from hypothermia in Gaza as residents struggle with the lack of shelter, heavy rains, and cold temperatures. Israel has conducted 2 strikes in southern Lebanon, saying it was targeting Hezbollah fighters. A 16-year-old shot by Israeli forces in the occupied West Bank town of Tuku has been identified as Mohammed al-Bandam. A building collapse caused a heavy rain has killed 1 person in Gaza City. Today's fast. I guess is slowing down. The genocide is. I've been out like 3 months because of politics in Chile. We will have a Nazi president, which is terrible, and I guess looking the picture positively, we have social media and we can move the masses. But in the negative side, there will be plenty of reasons to fight.
Distribuirse al interior del tren usando todos los carros es una medida de autocuidado. Colabora con la interacción segura.
Plenty of reasons to fight. Terrible.
Estación Francia.
25 seconds ago, what we know about the infant who died from cold in Gaza. Health authorities have identified the infant as 2-week-old Mohammed Khalil Abu al-Khair. He was admitted to the hospital in recent days and was placed into intensive care due to quote-unquote, extreme hypothermia caused by extreme cold. He died on Monday, adding to more than a dozen casualties from exposure in Gaza so far this winter season. The UN and aid organizations have repeatedly called on Israel to lift restrictions on aid to allow more material for shelters and flood drainage. They have warned that the young and elderly are the most vulnerable to extreme conditions. And there's a photograph: two boys shelter from the rain as they sit on a donkey cart in Deir El Balah in central Gaza. So rechecking from, so it's not that bad as 3 months ago. Not that bad as 3 months ago, unfortunately, because of the past. 30 minutes ago, about 9,300
Por tu
Palestinians
seguridad y la de
remain.
todos los pasajeros, no te sientes en el suelo.
9,300 Palestinians remain in prison, detained by Israel. Right groups is like 10,000. The figure includes at least 350 children held in Offer and Megiddo prisons, according to the Palestinian Prisoners Society.
Estación Varones.
At least 3,500 of the detainees from the occupied West Bank remain quote-unquote administrative detainees, a special status meaning they are held without charges or trial on suspicion they plan to break the law in the future. Such detentions are typically based on classified information not revealed to the detainee. The Zionist Nazis. Another 1,220 Palestinians detained during Israel's operations in Gaza are classified as quote-unquote unlawful combatants, a status which allows for indefinite detention, according to the group. 10,000 people. Definitely they are not eating meat in the prison. 45 minutes ago, UK members of parliament urged government to intervene over Palestine action hunger strikes. More than 50 UK members of parliament and peers have urged the government to urgently intervene over the health of Palestine action activists on hunger strike in British prisons, warning that several detainees face life-threatening medical conditions. In a letter signed by 51 parliamentarians and addressed to the Justice Secretary David Lammy, the lawmakers call for an immediate meeting with the law firm representing 8 prisoners currently refusing food. The members of parliament said the lawyers had written to the government on December 9, warning that their clients' health could deteriorate, quote unquote, beyond any possible recovery, end quote, without urgent action. Quote, we are growing increasingly dismayed at the government's lack of action to protect the health and well-being of British citizens, the letter said. The hunger strikes are linked to the detention of Palestine Action affiliated activists accused of damaging military or reference-related sites, including RAF bases and facilities connected to Israeli arms manufacturer Elbit Systems. Supporters say the protests are aimed to opposing UK military support for Israel's war on Gaza. And there's Jeremy Corbyn tweet: the hunger strikes are at risk of death. I asked the minister if he would do the bare minimum and meet their lawyers. A demand shared by over 50 members of parliament and peers. His response, quote unquote, no, members of parliament left it alone. They should be ashamed of themselves. And 1 hour ago. Analysis. Phase 2 of ceasefire likely to start in January. Yusuf Alabarda, a former NATO officer and columnist for Turkey's Aksam newspaper, has told Al Jazeera he is not confident that phase 2 of the ceasefire will start in January as planned. That phase will concern stabilization, demilitarization, and reconstruction, as well as the deployment of an international stabilization force. But Israel has repeatedly signaled it is dragging its feet, he said, pointing to the refusal to move forward until the final captive's body is returned, as stipulated in the first phase of the deal. Quote, this is only for creating an excuse, end quote. Alabarda says, quote unquote, Palestinian authorities have many times clearly declared that due to the Israeli bombings, they do not know where the dead bodies of the captives have been buried, end quote. Quote unquote, it is understandable because the air bombardment which was done by the Israeli air forces was heavier than during the Second World War, end quote, he said. Heavier than during the Second World War. That's it by now. I guess the worst is in the past. It's a paradox, isn't it? It's not better. The past is anyway. The past is still there. There's a lot of bodies under the rubble.